Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. Azure Databricks is an Apache Spark-based analytics service. Instructions: review the underlined text. If it makes the statement correct, select no changes needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. Option A, no changes needed. Option B, Azure Data Factory. Option C, Azure DevOps. Option D, Azure HD Insight. Correct answer is option A, no changes needed. Next question is, which Azure services provides a set of version control tools to manage code? Option A, Azure Repos. Option B, Azure Dev Test Labs. Option C, Azure Storage. Option D, Azure Cosmos DB. Correct answer is option A, Azure Repos. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. Azure Site Recovery provides fault tolerance for virtual machines. Options are no changes needed. Option B, disaster recovery. Option C, elasticity. Option D, high availability. Correct answer is option A, no changes needed. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. Authorization is the process of verifying a user's credentials. Options are no changes needed, authentication, federation, and ticketing. Correct answer is option B, authentication. Next question is, you need to configure an Azure solution that meets the following requirements. Secures websites from attacks, generates reports that contain details of attempted attack. What should you include in the solution? Option A, Azure Firewall. Option B, a Network Security Group NSG. Option C, Azure Information Protection. Option D, DDoS Protection. Correct answer is option D, DDoS Protection. Next question is, your company plans to migrate all on-premises data to Azure. You need to identify whether Azure complies with the company's regional requirements. What should you use? Option A, the Knowledge Center. Option B, Azure Marketplace. Option C, the Azure Portal. Option D, the Trust Center. Correct answer is option D, the Trust Center. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. Azure Key Vault is used to store secrets for Azure Active Directory Azure AD user accounts. Select the correct options. Option A, no changes needed. Option B, Azure Active Directory Azure AD administrative accounts. Option C, personally identifiable information PII. Option D, server applications. Correct answer is option D, server applications. Next question is, your company plans to automate the deployment of servers to Azure. Your manager is concerned that you may expose administrative credentials during the deployment. You need to recommend an Azure solution that encrypts the administrative credentials during the deployment. What should you include in the recommendation? Option A, Azure Key Vault. Option B, Azure Information Protection. Option C, Azure Security Center. Option D, Azure Multi-Factor Authentication MFA. Correct answer is option A, Azure Key Vault. Next question is, you plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines. You need to control the ports that devices on the internet can use to access the virtual machines. What should you use? Option A, Network Security Group NSG. Option B, an Azure Active Directory Azure AD role. Option C, an Azure Active Directory group. Option D, an Azure Key Vault. Correct answer is option A, Network Security Group NSG. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. If a resource group named RG1 has a delete lock, only a member of the Global Administrators group can delete RG1. Choose the correct answer. Option A, no change is needed. Option B, the delete lock must be removed before an administrator. Option C, an Azure policy must be modified before an administrator. Option D, an Azure tag must be added before an administrator. Correct answer is option B, the delete lock must be removed before an administrator. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. Azure Germany can be used by legal residents of Germany only. Options are no change is needed. Option B, only enterprises that are registered in the Germany. Option C, only enterprises that purchase their Azure license from a partner based in Germany. Option D, any user of enterprises that requires its data to reside in Germany. Correct answer is option D, any user enterprise that requires its data to reside in Germany. Next question is, this question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. After you create a virtual machine, you need to modify the Network Security Group NSG to allow connections to TCP port 8080 on the virtual machine. Options are no change is needed. Option B, Virtual Network Gateway. Option C, Virtual Network. Option D, Route Table. Correct answer is option A, no change is needed.